I caused more than $50,000 in damage to the annual festival, but instead of being punished, I became a local star. Now I'll tell you how it happened. 3 years back, I stood in a cramped courthouse chapel, marrying Safi with nothing but a cheap ring and a promise. She was all fire, wild eyes, quick laughs, the kind of woman who'd dance in the kitchen at 2 a.m. just because she felt like it. I wasn't far behind, steady enough to hold a job, but reckless when her spark lit me up. We'd been together since a blind date turned into a weekend, then a lease, then a life. No kids, no plans beyond the next paycheck, just us passionate, messy, alive. Arguments flared fast, she'd yell about my late nights, I'd snap about her chaos, but they always ended the same. 3 years of that heat, and I thought it'd never cool. I was wrong. That summer, Safi got restless, said she needed a jolt, something loud to shake the routine. She pitched Vortex Fest, a blowout she'd raved about since before me. It cropped up every July in a dry valley 2 hours out, a lawless sprawl of music and madness, tints, stages, thousands of strangers chasing the same high. She'd gone solo in her single days, came back with stories of sunrise sets and strangers who felt like family. This time, I couldn't swing it. Work had me locked down, reports due Monday, no room to breathe. Go, I told her, leaning on the couch as she packed. Tell me everything when you're back. She grinned, kissed me hard, promised she would. Friday morning, she was gone, duffel slung over her shoulder, buzzing about some DJ lineup I didn't know. I stayed behind, figured I'd grind through the weekend, catch up with her Sunday when she rolled in, sunburned and loud. That's how it was supposed to go. Saturday night changed it. I was home, laptop open, papers scattered, trying to focus, but her absence gnawed at me. Missed her voice, her habit of humming off-key when she thought I wasn't listening. I flicked on the TV, something to fill the quiet, landed on a cable channel streaming Vortex Live. Grainy footage swept the chaos, main stage pulsing, lights slashing the dark, crowds moving like one big beast. I wasn't searching for her, just watching, letting the noise drown my restlessness. The camera roamed, past food trucks, past a sea of glow sticks, then slowed near the vendor row, a quieter pocket lit by campfires and lanterns. That's when I saw her. Safi. My Safi, hair down, loose like she wore it at home, sitting on a crate by a stall. A guy next to her, scruffy, lean, some festival drifter, had his arm slung around her shoulders. She leaned into him, smiled soft, rested her head against him like it was natural. The feed cut to the stage, but that shot stayed, locked in my skull, replaying every detail. I sat there, remote in hand, staring at the screen like it'd explain itself. Could have been nothing. Festival friends, right? People get close in that haze, share a moment, move on. But I knew her, 3 years of her looks, her leans, the way she'd tilt her head when she was all in. That wasn't nothing. My pulse kicked up, not wild, just steady, insistent, like a beat I couldn't shake. Grabbed my phone, dialed her voicemail, her chipper tone promising a call back. Texted fast, saw you on TV. Who's he? Send it. Waited. Minutes dragged, 10, 20, an hour. Nothing. Called again, same dead end. The silence wasn't just quiet, it was heavy, pressing down, telling me what I didn't want to hear. I stood, paced, sat again, hands flexing, mind spinning. That image, her smile, his arm, wouldn't let go. 2 hours passed, and the longer she didn't answer, the clearer it got. She wasn't just at Vortex. She was with him. I stopped waiting, grabbed my keys, a jacket, a bag, threw in a shirt, wallet, whatever was close. 2 hours to Vortex, 2 hours through dark roads and my own head. I didn't plan what I'd say, didn't rehearse it, just drove, headlights slicing the night, that TV frame looping behind my eyes. Safi with him. Easy, close, like I'd never existed. 3 years of us, fights, laughs, late nights, and she'd stepped out, right there on live broadcast for me to catch. I hit the festival gates just past midnight, dust swirling, bass thumping, a mess of tints and lights sprawling out. Parked, stepped into the chaos, my boots crunching dirt. I wasn't the guy who'd her goodbye anymore, trusting, steady, hers. That guy was back home, lost in the static. Now I was here, looking for her, for him, for whatever came next. Safi didn't know I was coming, didn't know I'd seen her on that broadcast, her head on his shoulder, smiling like she'd forgotten me. The Vortex Fest gates loomed ahead, a rusty arch strung with flickering bulbs, and I paid the day pass fee with cash, no questions, just a nod from the kid in the booth. Inside, the air thumped, bass from the main stage, shouts, laughter, a haze of smoke and sweat rolling over me. Thousands of people sprawled across the valley, tents pitched uneven, lights pulsing, a mess of sound and motion. I didn't have a plan, didn't know where she'd be, just that image from the TV, her by the vendor stalls, him with his arm around her. 3 years of us, and I was here, chasing a ghost of her in a crowd that didn't care. I pushed through, past a stage where a DJ spun tracks, lights slashing the dark, bodies pressed tight. The vendor row was east, saw it on a crumpled map some guy handed out, so I headed that way, dodging people. My phone stayed silent, no reply to my text, no call back. I tried again, dialed her voicemail, same chipper voice I'd heard 100 times. "Safi, it's me. Where are you?" I said, low, then hung up. Nothing. The crowd thinned as I hit the stalls, food trucks, trinket stands, a guy hawking tie-dye shirts. Then I saw it, a fireworks booth, crates stacked high, signs promising sky blasters and night kings. No one manned it, just a tarp flapping loose, a lantern swinging. That's where she'd been on TV, right there. I stood, scanning, people milled around, but no Safi, no scruffy guy with an arm to spare. A girl nearby, selling bracelets, caught my eye. "You see a woman here earlier?" I asked, voice flat. "Dark hair? Loose? Sitting by the stall?" She shrugged, barely looked up. "Maybe. Lots of people come through. Some dude works that booth, tall, messy hair. They were talking last night, real close." My chest tightened, but I nodded, moved on. Talking last night. Close. That fit the broadcast, fit the pit growing in my gut. I circled back, checked the stall again, empty, but a crate had her mark, a hair tie, purple, one I'd seen her twist around her wrist a dozen times. She'd been here, left it behind, careless. I kept moving, asked around, vendor next door, a guy frying tacos, said he'd seen her with the fireworks guy after midnight. They were laughing, sitting by his setup, looked cozy, he said, flipping meat, not caring. Cozy. 3 years of her with me, passionate, ours, and she'd gotten cozy with some festival drifter. I didn't stop, kept pushing east, past a bonfire where people danced, shadows jumping. That's when I spotted her, Safi, alone now, walking slow near a water station, bottle in hand. Her hair was down, same as on TV, same as when she'd kiss me goodbye. I stopped, watched, wanted to see if she'd look for me, call, anything. She didn't, just sipped, stared at the ground, lost in her own head. I closed the gap, steps quiet, until I was 10 feet off. "Safi," I said, not loud, just enough. She turned, froze, eyes wide, bottle slipping an inch in her grip. "What, how are you here?" she stammered, voice shaky. I didn't smile, didn't move closer. "Saw you on TV," I said, steady. "With him. Arm around you, all cozy." Her face shifted, shock, then guilt, then a scramble. "It's not what you think," she started, fast. "He's just some guy, works here, sells fireworks. We talked, that's all. Talked." I stepped forward, held her gaze. "Talked so close you're on his shoulder? Left your hair tie at his stall." She flinched, hand jumping to her wrist, empty now, proof gone. She swallowed, tried again. "Okay, yeah, we got close. Late night, music, it just happened. But it was nothing, one talk, one moment. I swear. One moment." I didn't blink. 3 years, Safi. One moment doesn't put you in his arms on live TV. Her lips parted, no sound, just a breath, caught. "I didn't mean it," she said, quieter. "He's free, easy, not tied down. We talked about stuff, life, dreams." It hit me, and I leaned in. That's it. That's it. Like it erased the frame I'd seen, the silence after my calls. I nodded, slow. "Fireworks guy," I said. "Where's he now?" She pointed west, vague, toward the stall, the chaos. "Probably there. I left after, needed air." I turned, looked that way, lights flashing, noise swelling. She talked, leaned, "Let him in, once," she said, but once was enough. 3 years of us, and she'd cracked it open with a stranger selling sparks. I didn't yell, didn't grab her, just stood, letting it sink. "Stay here," I said, final, then walked off back to the stall, back to him. I needed to see him, know him, figure out what pulled her that night. Safi called after me, my name, soft, but I didn't stop. The festival roared on, and I moved through it, a man untethered, chasing the truth she'd left behind. Safi's voice faded behind me as I walked away, her plea, my name, swallowed by the festival's roar. I didn't look back, didn't slow, just pushed west through the chaos of Vortex Fest, past swaying crowds and flickering lights, toward the fireworks stall. She'd cracked our 3-year marriage with one night, one talk, one lean into some free-spirited drifter, and I needed to see him, needed to stand in front of the man who'd pulled her away, even if just for a moment. The air buzzed, music thumping, voices overlapping, a relentless pulse I moved through like a ghost. My boots crunched dirt, my hands stayed loose, but inside, something coiled, quiet, steady, waiting to snap. The vendor row came into view, taco stands, trinket booths, and there, the fireworks stall, crates stacked high, tarp still flapping loose. A guy stood behind it now, tall, lean, hair a mess of curls, wearing a faded vest and a smirk like he owned the night. Him. The one from the broadcast, the one Safi'd leaned into. He was packing a box, tossing sparkler packs in, casual as if he hadn't just tilted my world. I stopped a few feet off, watched him, his easy moves, his hum to some tune I didn't know. "You the fireworks guy?" I said, voice low, cutting through the din. He looked up, eyebrows lifting, smirk holding. "Yeah, that's me, Jace. You buying?" His tone was light, unbothered, like I was just another customer. I stepped closer, hands in my pockets, eyes locked on his. "Not buying. Looking for Safi's husband, you know him." His smirk faltered, just a beat. Then he shrugged, leaning on a crate. "Safi? Don't know any Safi. Lots of folks pass through here." He was smooth, too smooth, but his eyes flicked past me, scanning, like he knew she might show. "Dark hair," I said, steady. "Talked to you last night, real close. On TV with your arm around her. Ring a bell?" His jaw tightened, smirk gone now, and he straightened, crossing his arms. "Oh, her. Yeah, we chatted, festival vibes, you know? Nothing deep. Nothing deep. 3 years of my life," and he brushed it off like a spilled drink. "She's my wife," I said, not loud, just clear. 3 years. That deep enough for you?" His face shifted, surprise, then a flash of something else, maybe guilt, maybe not. "Didn't know she was married," he said, hands up, playing it cool. "She didn't say. We talked, music, life, whatever. Got close for a minute. That's it, man. That's it." Same line Safi fed me, like it erased the frame burned into me, her smile, his arm. I nodded, slow, letting it hang. "Talked so close she's leaning on you," I said. 1 minute's all it took. He shrugged again, weaker now. "Look, I'm not here to mess with anyone's life. She was cool happens out here. I sell sparks, not drama." Before I could answer, footsteps crunched behind me, quick, uneven. Safi. She stopped short, eyes darting between us, bottle still in her hand. "Don't," she said, voice sharp, aimed at me. "Don't do this here." I turned, faced her, her hair messy, her face tight, guilt written plain. "Too late," I said, calm, stepping aside so she could see him clear. "He says it was nothing, just vibes. That right?" She glared, then softened, looking at Jace. "Tell him," she said, almost pleading. "Tell him it didn't mean anything." Jace shifted, uncomfortable now, rubbing his neck. "Yeah, like I said, talked, chilled, that's all. Didn't know she had a ring." I looked at her, waited. She didn't meet my eyes, just stared at the ground. 3 years, Safi, I said, slow. "You don't mention me?" "Not once." Her head snapped up, voice cracking. "It wasn't about you, it was me, okay? I got lost out here. The music, him, he listened, really listened. I didn't plan it. Listened." I stepped closer, voice steady. "I listened. Every fight, every laugh, every night you needed me. Wasn't that enough?" She flinched, tears welling, but she didn't back down. "Sometimes it's not," she said, quiet, raw. "Sometimes I need more, not you failing, just more." The air still between us, Jace watching, shifting, festival noise fading to a hum. "More," I repeated, tasting the word. "Him." She shook her head, fast. "No, not him, not like that. Just a moment, I swear, it's over, done. Over, done." I turned to Jace, his hands still up, playing innocent. "You heard her," I said, flat. "Moment's gone. Stay away." He nodded, quick. "No problem, I'm out." But I wasn't done with her, not yet. I faced Safi, her tears spilling now, her bottle shaking. "You broke it," I said, not loud, just final. 3 years for one night. She reached for me, hand out, trembling. "We can fix this. Please, let's go, talk somewhere else." I stepped back, out of reach. "No," I said, simple. "You wanted more, live with it." Her hand dropped, tears streaking, but I didn't soften, just turned, walked past Jace, past the stall, into the crowd. She called my name, voice breaking, once, twice, then stopped. I kept going, the confrontation echoing in me, heavy but distant. I moved through Vortex Fest sprawl, past stages blasting beats, past crowds swaying under flashing lights, past the vendor stalls where it all fell apart. My steps stayed steady, my hands empty, but inside, the quiet turned, shifted into something cold, deliberate, ready. She'd wanted more, she'd said, more than me, more than what we'd built, and she'd taken it from him, even if just once. Fine. I'd give her something back, something heavy, something she'd feel long after the music stopped. Not wild, not loud, just mine, carved into her festival escape. I didn't drift far, stopped at a clearing near the main stage, where people sprawled on blankets, faces lit by glow sticks and phone screens. I sat on a crate, watched them, strangers caught in the haze, laughing, shouting, free in a way Safi had chased. She was back there, likely pacing near Jace's stall or the water station, thinking I'd cool off, come back, talk it out. She didn't know me, not anymore. 3 years, her pulling me close after every argument, me waking to her humming in our kitchen, didn't vanish for some drifter's late-night charm. My phone stayed dark. I turned it off after her silence. No point in waiting for her to explain. She'd made her move here, in this mess of tints and noise. I'd make mine too, not to Jace, not yet, but to her, where it'd stick. The idea came steady, clear, tied to her, to Vortex, to what she'd thrown away. She'd come here alone this year, but last summer, we'd gone together, her dragging me through the gates, promising chaos and fun. She bought us passes, got us wristbands, hers stamped with a star, mine with a crescent, our little claim on the festival. I'd kept mine, tucked in my wallet, a faded strip from when we were us. She'd lost hers, probably forgot it, typical Safi, moving on when the shine dulled. I pulled it now, crescent faded, edges worn, ran my thumb over it. She'd left her mark with Jace, her moment on TV for me to see. I'd leave mine where she couldn't miss it, where everyone would know what she'd done. I stood, headed toward the festival's heart, the message tower, a tall rig near the main stage where staff pinned updates, set times, lost items, warnings about heat. People checked it constantly, campers, vendors, drifters like Jace. I'd seen it last year, Safi scribbling a note to find me when we'd split up. Now I'd use it. I grabbed a pin from a food truck counter, tore a page from a flyer, wrote fast, plain, Safi, star wristband. Dark hair, spent last night with fireworks guy. Left her husband for a spark. No names beyond hers, no lies, just truth, raw and short. I climbed the tower's base, 10 feet up, easy rungs, pinned it high, where wind wouldn't take it but eyes would. Taped my crescent wristband beside it, proof of us, proof she'd stepped away. I dropped down, slipped into the crowd, watched as people drifted past, stopped, read. A guy pointed, fireworks guy's got a fan. A girl laughed, husband's probably mad. Word spread, soft at first, then sharper, voices carrying over the bass. Safi showed 20 minutes later, hair loose, moving slow near the stage, then froze as she neared the tower. She saw it, the note, my wristband, her face tightening, eyes darting. She reached up, yanked it down, fast, but too late. People had seen, phones were out, pic snapped. Hey, star girl, the drunk yelled, grinning. She spun, scanning, didn't find me, then shoved the note in her pocket, head low, pushing through the crowd staring. I stayed back, hands loose, watching her falter. She stopped, turned toward Jace's stall, then veered off, away, disappearing into the tents. The tower kept drawing looks, new notes went up, but hers stuck in their heads, a quiet ripple growing louder. She'd wanted more, freedom, a night unmoored, and I'd given her a mirror, reflecting her choice back for all to see. Not Jace's fault, not fully hers. She'd feel it, the stares, the whispers, the weight of 3 years turned cheap in a crowd she'd craved. I didn't chase, let her go, let it burn. The festival pulsed, lights flashing, music rolling, but she'd carry this now. Her talk with him, her lean, flipped into something everyone noticed. This was my move, not chaos, not yet, just her own step, loud and clear, haunting her through Vortex. It wasn't all I'd do, not enough to match what she'd taken, but it was a start. I'd stayed, didn't leave after the tower, didn't run home. Watched from the edges, saw her dodge stares, heard the whispers spread. My wallet was empty now, wristband gone, just keys and a dead phone in my pocket. Safi found me near dawn, stumbled out of the tent rows, hair tangled, eyes red. She stopped 10 feet off, arms crossed. staring like she didn't know how to start. You didn't go, she said, voice low, cracked. I nodded, leaning on a fence post by the vendor stalls. Had to see it through. She stepped closer, hesitant. I saw the note, your wristband. Everyone did. I didn't answer, just watched her, let her fill the space. I didn't mean this, she said, softer. Not us ending, not like this. I straightened, hands in my pockets. You meant him, I said, calm. Last night, Jace, his stall, you leaning in. That was you choosing. Her face tightened, tears welling again. It wasn't choosing, it was a moment. The music, the talk, right then. I swear it's done. Done. I looked past her, toward the fireworks stall, Jace there, packing up, oblivious. 3 years, I said, slow. I got you. Every day, every night. Wasn't that enough? She shook her head, fast. It is. I got lost here. That's all, one stupid night. We can fix it, go home, start over. Start over. I stepped closer, voice steady. You don't get lost in someone's arms, Safi. You don't go silent when I call. That's not lost, that's gone. Her breath hitched, tears spilling now. I'm not gone. I'm here, begging you. I love you, still do. Love. The word hung, thin, worn out. You loved me, I said, quiet. Until you didn't, until he was more, even for a minute. She reached out, hand trembling. I didn't move, let it hover. He's nothing, she said, desperate. A seller, a nobody. I walked away after. Please, don't throw us out over this. I pulled back, out of reach. You threw us out, right there, on TV for me to see. She dropped her hand, stood there small, frayed, not the Safi I'd married. So that's it? She asked, voice breaking. Is our relationship now in the past? I nodded, final. Yeah, gone. She stared, then turned, walked a few steps, stopped, looked back. I'll wait at home. If you change your mind. I didn't answer, just watched her go, disappearing into the thinning crowd. Sadness stayed, but acceptance crept in slow, firm. I turned toward Jace's stall 50 yards off, crates stacked, fireworks gleaming under lanterns. He was alone, hauling boxes, back to me. Safi's moment had been there, her talk, her lean, and it gnawed at me, a loose end I couldn't leave. I walked over, steps quiet, stopped at the counter. He glanced up, frowned, recognized me. You again, he said, casual. We done here? I didn't answer, just scanned the setup, fuses, packs, a lighter on a crate. She's gone, I said, flat. Told me it was nothing, you were nothing. He shrugged, unbothered. Told you, festival vibes. She talked, I listened. That's it. That's it. I picked up a sparkler, small, harmless, rolled it in my hand. Listened, I said, slow. Enough to take her from me. He stepped back, hands up. Not my move, she leaned in. I didn't know you. Didn't know. I nodded, set the sparkler down, grabbed the lighter instead, flicked it on. Now you do. His eyes widened, hey, easy, but I didn't wait. Lit a fuse on a crate, small, one firework, and tossed it back. It hissed, fly up, cracked the sky with a sharp pop, red streaks raining down. Jace cursed, lunged to stop it, but the crate flared, a chain sparking fast. One lit another, then 10, rockets, spinners, screamers, all bursting free. The stall erupted, fireworks launched wild, patterns exploding, gold swirls, blue arcs, green blooms tearing the dawn apart. Noise rolled, cracks, booms, a roar that turned every head in vortex. People shouted, ran toward it, phones out, awed, cheering the chaos I'd started. Jay scrambled, yelling, stop it. But it was gone, 50 grand in sparks painting the sky. I stepped back, watched, detached, calm, as the crowd swelled, mesmerized by the show. Beautiful, someone yelled. Who did that? Another called. Jay spun, glared at me. I didn't flinch. Meant it for him, for her, a jolt to shake their moment. But it flipped, turned me into something else. They stared, clapped, saw a star, not a spark. The fireworks faded, streaks of color dissolving into the dawn, leaving Vortex Fest humming with a new energy. I stood there, hands in my pockets, watching the crowd, phones up, voices loud, all fixed on the sky I'd torn open. Jace's stall smoked, crates empty, tarp singed, his shouts lost in the cheers. $50,000 gone in minutes, a chain reaction I'd lit to shake him, to mark Safi's betrayal, but it turned, flipped me into something else. Who's the guy? Someone yelled, pointing my way. Festival hero, another called, clapping. I didn't move, just watched, detached, as they made me a star when all I'd wanted was to burn her moment down. Safi was gone, vanished after our talk, and I let her stay that way, a shadow I'd stopped chasing. The festival didn't stop, stages kept thumping, lights kept flashing, but the air shifted. People drifted over, nodded, offered beers, saw me as the man who'd lit the sky, not the one whose wife had stepped out. Jay stormed off, cursing, hauling what was left of his stock, while staff rushed in, confused, tallying the cost. 50 grand, they'd say later, crates, gear, a chunk of Vortex's budget, all sparked by one flick of a lighter. I waited, figured they'd drag me off, find me, something, but they didn't. A guy with a clipboard shrugged, said insurance would cover it, called it unplanned spectacle. The crowd ate it up, clips hit phones, spread fast, my face blurred, but the story clear. I'd caused the damage, but punishment never came, just awe, a strange crown I didn't ask for. I stayed through Sunday, wandered the grounds, let the noise wash over me. Safi's star wristband was long gone, her note crumpled in her pocket, her fling with Jace a whisper under the fireworks tail. 3 years with her, raw, loud, ours, ended here, in this dusty valley. The shock had faded, TV screen replaced by the stall's ashes. The anger cooled, tower note and lighter spent. Sadness lingered, quiet, steady, but acceptance took root. She'd wanted more, found it in him for a night, and I'd answered. First with her past, then with his sparks. I learned something. Love doesn't hold when it's stretched thin. Safi pulled, I broke, and that was it. No fixing, no going back, just moving on. She texted once. Hours after, as I sat by the bonfire pit, embers low. I'm home. Please come. I read it, let it sit, then deleted it, turned the phone off again. Home wasn't ours anymore. Just a place I'd leave, a lease I'd end. I'd pack my stuff, clothes, books, the coffee mug she hated, take it somewhere new alone. She'd stay, maybe call, maybe wait, I didn't care. 3 years taught me her fire, her pull. I'd loved it, fed it, but it wasn't mine to keep. Jace was a spark, a cellar, nothing more. She'd made him something, and I'd unmade it, turned it into my own story. Not revenge, not anymore, just closure, loud and clear. The festival wound down, tents folded, stages went dark, people trickled out. I lingered, watched the valley empty, dust settling, lights dimming. A guy stopped me near the gates. You the fireworks man? Epic move. I nodded, didn't smile, just kept walking. Epic. 50 grand in chaos. And they'd cheered. Turned me into a tale they'd tell next year. I'd meant it for Jace, his stall, his moment with her, but it landed on me, a star I didn't chase. Safi's betrayal brought me here, her talk, her lean, and I'd closed it, not with tears, not with words, but with sparks that lit the sky and left her behind. I drove out, 2 hours back, road quiet, dawn breaking. The truck hummed, my wallet light, just keys and cash now. Next was simple, new place, new start, no ties. Work waited, deadlines, routine, a steady beat to lean on. Friends would ask. I'd shrug, say it's done, move on. The sadness stayed, faint, a trace, but it didn't pull me back. Safi was her own story now, her festival, her choice, and I was mine. The fireworks weren't planned, lit in a flash, meant to sting, but they freed me, turned loss into something else. That's how it ended. Her spark gone, mine brighter, accidental, final.